Senegal. And Norway did the job, and Erling Haaland did the job, which is why what I said to Jeff a little bit earlier, that it might be that the Ivory Coast are able to control the game and the tempo with their midfielders, but actually Erling Haaland can pop up at any given moment and score that goal, 2 goals, and suddenly you're on the back foot. So look, I think it's a great game to watch. I hope that they go very much toe-to-toe. I think they definitely can. I would imagine that the Ivory Coast will continue with their sort of high-intensity, pressing, physical style. Again, as I said, I think Norway, with the physicality that they've got, will be able to handle that. So, yeah, almost clash of the titans.
Brazil await the winners in New Jersey on the 5th of July. England could be potential quarter-final opponents in Miami, but that's still some way off. Don't forget, England against the Democratic Republic of Congo, live on Talk Sport from Atlanta, 5 o'clock tomorrow evening with Adrian Durham and the team. And we have 2 coaches here with experience of the English Championship. MS5 was once Reading's record signing, and Ståle Solbakken had an unhappy time in charge of Wolves in the Championship, so much so he was replaced by Dean Saunders. I'm sure Dino's listening.
Just as well you know him very well, as do I.
And it's Norway who will get this game underway wearing all white. Erling Haaland with 4 goals so far at this World Cup, 2 behind Lionel Messi.
10,
and of course Haaland has
9,
played 1 game fewer.
8.
And Ivory Coast wearing all orange today, looking to maintain Africa's challenge at this World Cup, which has been superb so far. And we are underway in Dallas. A match against Brazil is the prize for the winners, and straight away Ivory Coast lumped the ball out of play on the far side, and it will be a throw-in for Norway, who are defending the goal away to our right in the first half. It's thrown down the line, looking for Haaland, but Norway then quickly play it forward, and it's guided away by Odilon Kusunu of Atalanta. He may be given the job of trying to deal with Erling Haaland, but he's come over to this near side to try and catch Musa in the early stages down the Norwegian left. Now Mollewolf of Wolves, but his ball forward has been cut out by Nicolas Pepe, the match winner against Curaçao, and it will be a throw-in for Norway on this near side.
Yeah, interesting. Ivory Coast decided to do that sort of rugby style, kick it in the corner. We know that even top clubs like PSG do it as well, so it's just trying to put in a little statement. Listen, we're going to put you on the back foot if we can. And then since then it's been all Norway on the ball.
And Norway coming forward now, but Mollewolf will be beaten to it by Kusunu. Quickly forward towards Pepe, but he's robbed very easily in the end by Berger. And Sander Berger, the Fulham midfielder, leaves it for Ødegaard, who will just try and prompt now from the heart of the Norwegian midfield. 90 seconds played on Talk Sport in the round of 32. It's a really big day at the World Cup. France against Sweden coming up live on Talk Sport at 10 o'clock, and that's followed live from the Azteca Stadium, Mexico against Ecuador at 2 a.m. and of course the winners of that game will play the winners of England's game in the round of 16. But it's a rather sedate start here under the roof in Dallas. Norway dominating possession, but very respectful of the Ivory Coast.
Yeah, Norway are having the possession. It's not as if the Ivory Coast are trying to press high. They're just waiting for them to come onto the halfway line.
Solot now plays it down the line. The high cross in, looking for Haaland, who directs the header towards goal, but it's blocked by Kusunu, and it's hammered away on the far side for a throw-in.
Well, I mean, well done Norway, but it's too passive from Ivory Coast. They're saying about how they're not full press, and that's fine, but once you get to the halfway line, you can't allow them just a couple of little passes, get down the right and cross the ball in, and then there's a free header. Yes, they had numbers back and they got the clearance, but got to defend better than that.
Solot looking to link up again with Pedersen on the far side, but this time Marcus Pedersen was offside, but he wasn't when he delivered that ball in for Haaland, but the header was blocked by Kusunu, and I'm not sure the pace on the header would have necessarily tested for fun.
It wasn't actually a great header, and he also had the chance, because they were a couple of yards off him, to try and chest it and volley it, which would have been interesting. His technique, we know he can certainly do that. It wasn't the best of headers, but it was a free one.
Ivory Coast played their group games in Toronto and Philadelphia, and Norway were up in the northeast in Boston and New York, so they've both headed south to Texas for this game, and the winner will be heading back up to the northeast again and the MetLife Stadium in the round of 16. Ødegaard now plays a high ball forward looking for Haaland, but Kusunu is there again to clear the ball away, but he rather overhit it, doesn't pick out Conan on the far side, and it will be a throw-in for Norway. 4 minutes played on TalkSport. Ivory Coast 0, Norway 0. The Ivorians, the runners-up to Germany in their group, and Norway finished behind the French. And now a first opportunity for Diomande to bring it forward for Ivory Coast. Finds Bonnet. Bonnet is challenged on this near side, and it was a good challenge as well from Christopher Ayer of Brentford. And I think the ball's gone behind for a goal kick in the end. Indeed it has.
It's the first time the Ivory Coast have actually got into the final third, and in the end he was well shackled, Bonnet, for sure. At least that will give him a little bit of confidence, because I have to say, coming up to 5 minutes, it's been Norway with a better start.
Anjoan Bonnet, a player who was only allowed to play for Ivory Coast in May. He was a French under-21 international, made his debut in the win against France on June the 4th, as Ivory Coast conceded a free kick on halfway here for the challenge on Patrick Berg, the only survivor in the starting lineup from the 4-1 loss against France, which Stoller Solbakken and basically wrote off.
Yeah, I don't read anything into that game at all. I mean, you can lose to France with that scoreline anyway, but we're basically their reserve side, second side. No, it was all about resting for the knockout stages. You know, well done to Erling Haaland and the other players. They clearly bought into what the manager's looking for, and we remember saying, well, you won't get Lionel Messi to do that, but he did. So again, I think these superstars understand that while they all want to be Golden Boot winners, the most important thing is to actually hold that trophy in the very last game.
Will he get Cristiano Ronaldo to do that? That's another question. Ooh. Pedersen coming forward now down the right for Norway, but he's quickly held up. Of course, Alexander Sorloth is his wing support down that right-hand side, but Ivory Coast will clear the ball away. Conan's ball forward takes a deflection off a Norwegian boot, and it's straight out of play for a throw-in to Ivory Coast with 6 minutes played. But I think in these conditions, and when you look at the ages of some of the players we've talked about there, conserving the energy and managing the minutes is maybe even more important in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it's one of those where, with the greatest of respect, I don't think either of these two sides will get to the final. I don't think they'll get to the semi-final, but the fresher they are, clearly the maximum they can play, and if either of these sides, whoever gets through, play to their maximum, they'll give Brazil a good game for sure.
Because Ivory Coast beat Ecuador 1-0 in their first game, a very late goal from Ahmed Diallo, and then they lost against Germany, having led in that match and possibly deserved to win it, but were caught out right at the end before Nicola Pepe scored both of the goals against Curaçao to ease them through. Norway winning their first two games allowed them the liberty of making 10 changes against the French. But Frank Kessie looking to build on this near side now for Ivory Coast, the captain, an Asian champion, along with Ivan Toney at Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia this season. Thrown in towards Pepe, and now Kessie again, and it's wide towards Pepe on this right-hand side. The high cross towards the far post, and challenging for it in the air was Yan Diomande, but he rather got under it. Sorloth will clear, but it's not the greatest clearance. Straight to Ula, the youngster, and now Kessie alongside him in midfield. Guéla Doué, of course, his brother Desiré plays for France. And Ivory Coast looking to build now. Diomande plays it wide to the far side. Conan with the cross into the penalty area, and it's lifted away by Muller-Wolf, but now Pepe with the opportunity to attack the penalty area down the right. He's quickly challenged. He does have support from Kessie, who is barking out the instructions to give him the ball, which he eventually receives. Doué looking again for Pepe. Good football here from Ivory Coast down the right-hand side. A low ball into the penalty area, heading towards Bonnet. Maybe took a deflection, and in the end, Torbjorn Hegem has to scramble it behind for a corner.
Yeah, it's a really good clearance. Pepe just starting to get into the game now. That in-swinging left foot that he can put in. Oh, he's quite happy to go down the right as well and put it in with his right foot. And Hegem just about gets there, giving away a corner.
8 minutes played, 0-0 in Dallas. And it's a corner kick which Nicolas Pepe will take. The first of the game for Ivory Coast. And Agbadou and Kasunu offer plenty of height inside that 6-yard area. Pepe's delivery high towards the far post, and Kessie was the player who was rising, but he was challenged by Hegem, and it will drift behind for a goal kick.
It's a decent ball to the far post. It's kind of just inside the 6-yard box, but keeper doesn't come out. The sure sign that that is a good ball that's been put in. Again, almost out-muscled each other, really, didn't they? And they were too busy having a little fight between themselves to actually get a proper connection on the ball. But yeah, set pieces when games are tight, we say it all the time, can be very, very important.
18 goals in the 5 games in this stadium so far. Of course, England scored 4 of them in their win against Croatia. Lionel Messi also broke the record for World Cup scoring against Austria. And Australia against Egypt will be the other game at this stage of the World Cup played here. And there'll also be a game in the round of 16 and the semi-finals. A long ball played forward for Norway towards the right, and they've always got the outlet of Sorloth to try and divert the ball in field, which is what he does, but it's won back by Doué for the Ivory Coast. And now Kasunu on this near side, back in field to Nottingham Forest's Ibrahim Sangare. He will try and hold things together and give the platform for Kessie. Now Kessie plays it forward, looking for Bonnet, but it's guided back by Ayer towards Neeland, who takes no chances and hammers the ball downfield. It's Sangare with a back header towards the far side, and it will be gathered by Agbadou. We played 10 minutes here, and it's Ivory Coast 0, Norway 0, and the Ivorians are giving the ball away. Nusa forward towards Ødegaard. Haaland was peeling away to the left, looking to pull the trigger, but it was cut out by Kasunu, and he will clear up towards the halfway line, and Pepe down the right. Pepe was caught late there, and in the end the referee has given the free kick, and that's good officiating by Jesus Valenzuela, because he just looked to see where the advantage came for the Ivorians. None was forthcoming, so they head back and get the free kick.
Yeah, there's a lot of physicality in this game already, isn't it? You're trying to, in the battle, the duels, the 1v1, trying to get one over early on your opponent, whether that's I'm quicker than you, I'm stronger than you, I can go past you, or you can't go past me. Really fascinating battle without there being too many attempts at goal.
Goulay on the far side for Ivory Coast, and now Sangare. And he's got the outlet of Doué forward again from right back. Pepe coming deep. And they need to ensure that Bonnet doesn't get too isolated. Diomande coming in field to try and offset that. Now Agbadou again, and Ulai, the 20-year-old, seeing plenty of the ball, and he scoops it wide towards the far side, and Conan in field to Diomande, and then Ulai with the ball forward down the channel left-hand side, looking for Bonnet, but it's overhit and straight out of play.
It's actually really good defending for Norway without the ball. It wasn't as if they necessarily got tight on the ball, but the two centre-halves were making sure that Bonnet couldn't go anywhere, and as he's looking up to try and play that pass in behind the Norwegian defence, there was no space. So in the end, he's played it in a place where even Bonnet couldn't get anywhere near it.
Of course, South Africa have already gone out at this stage to Canada, but Morocco, with that victory yesterday, merited as well on penalties to go through against the Netherlands. Only Tunisia of the 10 African teams here didn't qualify for the round of 32, as Sorloth comes forward now, but an excellent challenge from Ulay on the far side. coming in from behind, but won it cleanly. And Ivory Coast, one thing you could say about them, they've got Diomande, but if they can't find him quickly, there's not a huge amount of pace.
No, there isn't. But they do work hard, both individually and as a team.
Now Bonnet found down the centre, but the ball just trickles away from him. He was under pressure from Maya, and the first touch allows Neyland to gather.
And that was a lovely ball into Bonnet as well. And while it was a difficult one to break down, because the two centre-halves clearly are, talking to Perry earlier about the communication of the Ivory Coast two centre-halves, where you can clearly see that the Norwegian two centre-halves have got that as well. So when you can get the ball over one and to the feet of your striker, Bonnet has to bring the ball down. The first touch has to be better.
13 minutes played, 0-0. 10 o'clock kick-off this evening. France against Sweden. And Kevin Hatchard and Tony Cascarino will bring you that game live on Talk Sport. And then Natalie Sawyer live from the Azteca in Mexico City. Mexico against Ecuador with Joe Shannon and Mark McGee. And of course, all day tomorrow on the Talk Sport network, we'll be building up to England against DRC, live from Atlanta, 5 o'clock kickoff with Adrian Durham and the team. And that will be followed by Belgium against Senegal in Seattle with Ian Danta and Alvin Martin. That game will be over on Talk Sport 2 as we assess the fallout of the England game. As Diomande comes forward now on the far side. Was he dragged down by Pedersen? Well, he's quickly back to his feet, Diomande. And the challenge is made by Ayer on the far side, and it will be a corner kick. And we're seeing there very quickly the value of Jan Diomande to this Ivorian team.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marcus Pedersen has such a crucial role in this game. I mean, Jan Diomande, the top clubs of Europe want him. It might be the question of sometimes, yes, I can deal with it 1v1. Other times, I need help. Or you make sure you sit in front of him and he doesn't receive the ball, because he can hurt good defenders.
Corner kick for Ivory Coast once again. Diomande with the in-swinger towards Kesse, but it's headed away by Sorloth towards the halfway line. And now wide on this near side again. Ivory Coast will try and build the cross into the area, gathered by Diomande at the far post, but it was bouncing up as he tried to control, and I think it ricocheted off his shoulder and goes behind for a goal kick.
Well, 15 minutes gone. We said it's 50-50, and it's exactly what it is in terms of possession, shots off target and on target. We've not had one yet, but with a good start from Norway, Ivory Coast getting back into the game again. This might be one of those where there's lots of goals and it's end-to-end in the second half, or it might be one of those where the first goal wins it.
And it's significant, talking about Jan Diomande, that Marcus Pedersen has come into the side today, and Julian Ryerson, who has been the regular right back, the Dortmund right back, fine player, he's on the bench today. So maybe Ståle Solbakken has seen something there and has looked to rectify it.
We clearly must think that Pedersen is the better defender, the better at one-on-one, because talked about it, everyone's talking about it. Jan Diomande is an absolute superstar in the making.
Only Pau Kabasi of Spain has played more minutes as a teenager in this World Cup so far. Sorloth on the far side, he's robbed by Diomande. Well, Sorloth is significantly larger than him, but he bounced off him.
It's the saying of a good big un beats a good little un is not always true. Diomande very strong as well as very skillful.
It's back with Yaya Fofana, one of a number of Parisian-born players in this Ivorian team, plays his club football in Turkey. And Kusunu will go back to his goalkeeper again. And I know we have this obsession about how many touches Erling Haaland has in the game, but so far it's not too many. Now Diomande cutting inside again from the left-hand side for Ivory Coast, and plays a good ball wide to the right, where there's space and time here for Pepe to try and attack the penalty area. Further on towards Doué, who was onside. Pepe again works the 1-2 with Kesse deep into the area. Does he run out of room? He does, and it's gone behind for a goal kick, but it was good movement again from Ivory Coast.
Yeah, I didn't think that went out, and I don't think Pepe thought it went out, but when he had the ball and Doué made the run, he should have turned, and he didn't. He turned back out away from goal, and it allowed Norway to again set themselves, but also Pepe himself has got to say turn or over and make him let that ball go. When you play to a fullback in the box, sometimes he does not always aware of what's around him. So when you pass him the ball, it's all very well, you know, fullbacks going inverted or even overlapping. They've got to know what's around them, and it's half an opportunity missed there.
We mentioned Erling Haaland. This is 62nd game of the season for club and country today. In his first appearance of the season, he scored twice against Wolves, and he was marked by Emmanuel Agbadou, who was at the heart of the Ivorian defence today, although he's since moved on to Besiktas.
But he won't forget it.
No.
And maybe neither will Erling Haaland as well.
Neeland, wide to the far side, and Aya. 18.5 minutes played here on TalkSport, the round of 32 at the 2026 World Cup. It's 0-0. Norway have had more of the ball so far, but what invention there has really come from Ivory Coast.
Yeah, it's been tight in terms of the possession, marginal that Norway have had a little bit more, but you're absolutely right. The Ivory Coast already, just in the first 20 minutes, just look a little bit more dangerous. Erling Haaland, you say about a few touches, not had many.
Now it's played forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Sorloth gathers wide towards Moller Wolf, and he fizzed that ball into the area, but it was blocked at the near post by Doué, and the decision has gone the Ivory Coast way.
Well, it's the first time really that Norway have got into the box and got them, well, second time after the header, of course, Erling Haaland. And I just felt that Sorloth didn't quite play it in the ball where he was able to get that cross in, Moller Wolf, without a good defending, able to get back and get himself in the right place to stop that cross. Erling Haaland nearly getting on the end of it though, but wasn't too much movement for him there.
Agbadou plays it forward towards Ulai on the halfway line, and now Conan into the danger man, Diamande, and Sorloth has come back to help out Pedersen, infield to Kessie, and Diamande again, and it's a good ball wide towards the far side of Ulai. Bonnet waits in the centre on the overlap. Conan now into the penalty area, shoots for the near post, and it's just wide. Better options than that.
Well, it's actually brilliant play from Conan, the left back, because he could see as they were building up that there could be an overload down the left hand side. Sorloth is a very honest player, and he's taken one for the team by playing that kind of wide right player, but he's not necessarily a natural defensive player. And again, we talk about communication. Pedersen didn't talk to him to go with that run, and then suddenly 5 seconds later, two little passes, and it's a 2v1 situation. Conan looks like he's going to whip it across. Pedersen goes to try and stop that. He then cuts inside, and once you cut inside, you either try and fizz the ball across the box or you aim for that far post. He shot, and it didn't even reach the near post, so a real wasted opportunity there, but good play from the Ivory Coast. Poor defending from Norway.
Ødegaard brings it forward now for Norway over the halfway line, but again he has to check back because there is not a huge amount ahead of him, and Ivory Coast are very well organised defensively here. Now Antonio Nusa of Leipzig, of course he plays on the other wing, and Jan Diamande at club level. Two players who helped Leipzig to a very good season in the Bundesliga. Now Aya again, and Norway at times are having to drop this game to walking pace. Hegem finding Berg, and it's very difficult for them to find the space to create the opportunities for Erling Haaland here, because Nusa has been closely watched, and Sorloth has got to be wary of the threat of Diamande going back the other way. Yeah,
it's not that high press, so they're letting them come to the halfway line, and then it's almost a 4-4-2 without the ball, which means that someone's not able, one of the centre-halves, to really push on. They're being stopped, and just good man-to-man marking.
Now Nusa challenged by Doué, and the ball spins behind for a Norwegian corner kick here. Their first of the game, with 22 minutes played on TalkSport. 0-0 in Dallas. And Patrick Berg, who had such a good season in the Champions League for Bodo Glimt, he will take the corner kick. Haaland has had one touch so far, and that was the header, which was blocked by Kasunu. Berg with the delivery, guided away by Bonnie at the near post. Oh, there's confusion there, and was that a foul? It was a foul, and it was a clever break forward by the Ivory Coast, and Nusa allowed the ball to run. Diomande nipped in and he collided with Moller Wolf, and there were players back for Norway, but it was a challenge born of confusion, but Diomande certainly felt that.
Yeah, I mean, well done to Diomande for sensing that. You could see that Musa was wanting Moller Wolf to come. It wasn't quite there. He could have passed it back to him. Both of them dillied and dallied. Diomande got in there and he was taken out. Yeah, I mean, not only is it foul, he should have got a yellow card there.
No yellow card shown by Jesus Valenzuela. Well, you know it's the hydration break. You can tell by the noise around the stadium. An indoor stadium, air-conditioned, and now we have the hydration break. At the midpoint of the first half, Ivory Coast 0, Norway 0, and it's been as tight as many people anticipated, but will Ivory Coast be slightly the happier?
Yeah, I think so. They're quite happy. You know, don't be fooled by the possession stats, because Ivory Coast are quite happy to be without the ball. And yeah, come on to us. You're going to try and thread it through. No, we'll nick it, whether it's us being clever positionally or just being really physical, and then we'll try and counter-attack very quickly. Diomande's come into the game a little bit more. He's looked sharp. Bonnet, the ball has been up to him, but he's not quite been able to keep it. Just not really had that major chance. You could argue the best chance so far of the game was the header from Erling Haaland, who should have done better with it. Could even have brought it down chest volley and had a strike. Poor header in the end, but yeah, I think just slightly, Ivory Coast to be happier.
Some breaking news on TalkSport. Coventry City have confirmed Frank Lampard has signed a new deal, keeping him at the club until 2029. Don't forget, Coventry's first game back in the Premier League right here on TalkSport, 8 o'clock on Friday, the 21st of August. Good news for Coventry.
Feels right, doesn't it? The job that Frank's done there, nothing short of sensational, and it feels right. He's given the chance to... Well, he's given the club a chance. I just hope he's going to be given some money to spend, because we've seen many clubs, that Sunderland have been superb, of course, the exception, but many clubs have gone up and come straight back down. So let's hope that they can, certainly he can be given the opportunity to keep them up.
So good news for Coventry fans. Frank Lampard with a new deal, and it does give, I suppose, both sides, if that's the right term, the manager and the club, security as well.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking to sign players,
yes,
players want to see that, don't they?
Of course they do. They want to, first of all, you want stability, but also if you see someone like Frank Lampard, you know, you want to play for him, and not just the player, but the person. You know, the manager as well as the coach and manager. He pretty much ticks everything in my opinion. He just needs the right circumstances now. And again, I repeat, I hope Coventry give him the platform to go on and perform.
We'll be focusing on another former Chelsea manager, Graham Potter, at 10 o'clock here on TalkSport. Sweden taking on France. Hugh Woozencroft in the chair, Kevin Hatchard and Tony Cascarino on the commentary. And then we're live from the Azteca Stadium from midnight 30. Natalie Sawyer, Joe Shannon and Mark McGee will bring you Mexico against Ecuador. And then, of course, it's England in Atlanta against DRC. 5 o'clock tomorrow, live on TalkSport. 26 minutes played here. We're back underway. 0-0. Home of the Dallas Cowboys. Ivory Coast and Norway have been very watchful of each other's qualities so far as the Ivorians go long, and it's gathered by Diomande on the far side, but he's quickly closed down by Berger, and I think the ball may have squeezed out of play there. Indeed it did, and it's a throw-in for Ivory Coast down their left, midway inside the Norwegian half. And they are just getting the ball to Diomande a bit more, and I'm not sure that ball did go out.
I didn't think it was. The whole of the ball needs to go out. Basic stuff, but it wasn't in a really dangerous position.
And the Ivorians go all the way back to Fofana, their goalkeeper, anyway. It's played forward wide to the far side. You can hear the Viking clap of the Norwegian supporters echoing around the stadium as Kessie comes forward now for Ivory Coast, and Diomande's got some room here to work down the left-hand side. Pedersen has gone across. Diomande will look to tease. Clips the high ball in towards Pepe, who delivered an excellent ball into the 6-yard area, but Bonnet had pulled out to the penalty spot, so as a result Aya was able to scramble the ball behind for a corner.
Well, again, we've talked about the talent of Diamande, and I'm thinking to myself, why is Pedersen allowing himself to have a one-on-one situation? And because he's so worried about him, he's not getting tight. He's allowing the cross to come in, and Nicolas Pepe should do better. It's on his right foot, but he's got the other side of Moller-Wolf, and it's sort of 6 yards out to the side, yes, but you've got to hit the target there.
Pepe will deliver this ball in. Another possibility for the Ivory Coast. Pepe's corner, headed away as far as Diamande. He clips it back out wide to the right, and Pepe again, who stayed onside. High cross towards the far post. They've got a man over again. It's Kessie, but he's beaten by the bounce of the ball, and it spins over his head and up and away for a goal kick.
Well, Norway need to sort this out, need to stop the crosses. They didn't. Pedersen didn't stop it. And just Patrick Berg got close there, or he didn't get close and allowed the cross to come in, and there was actually an extra man at the far post. If he'd have read it properly, then he might have been able to bring it down and have a shot on goal.
29 minutes played on TalkSport. 0-0 in Dallas between Ivory Coast and Norway. Brazil await the winners. Nusa coming forward now for Norway, cuts in field from the left-hand side, but plenty of orange shirts around him. But now Ødegaard in a central area, 20 yards out, almost squeezed through towards Berg. Nusa tries to take over, but it's Kessie who brings the ball away, and he quickly transfers it wide to this near side. And Pepe over the halfway line for Ivory Coast. Bonnet is ahead of him. He's got Diamande away on the far side. The high ball is arced towards the far side, and again Pedersen knew that Diamande was somewhere in the vicinity, but wasn't quite sure where, so he heads it behind for a corner.
Well, I'll tell you what, both the wingers on either side of Ivory Coast, Diamande and Pepe, know they've got the beating of their fullbacks. Great play from Pepe there. Moller-Wolf was kind of showing him down the outside, so he said, right, okay, fine, I'll go down the outside. Flipped and flicked a great little ball to the far post, and someone's got to get on the end and read it. And Pepe throwing his hands in the air, thinking exactly the same thing.
Diamande's corner into the near post, and Bonnet was challenging, but he was beaten to it by Aya, and it will be another corner kick. Aya just taking a moment here, maybe got a whack on the side of the head, but I think he looks angry at the way his team are